newcomers to Canada. My name is Adida Mola, and I'll be your host for this session. I'll talk about the benefits and credits you can receive and the services we offer to help you with your taxes. Given that we are meeting virtually, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. The city of Calgary is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. I also want to acknowledge the lands on which you are gathered from coast to coast and invite you to take a moment of silence to have a thought for the territory in which you find yourself. Before we start the webinar, let's go over the icons on the toolbar and what they do. If you look at the toolbar in the top right corner of your screen, you will notice several icons. The two arrows forming a circle icon will refresh the webinar. Refreshing the page may resolve any issues you have during the webinar. The checkmark icon is for the post-webinar evaluation. It opens a new tab. Please take a moment at the end of the webinar to give us feedback. The chain links icon is for resources. By clicking it, you will find the web addresses and telephone numbers mentioned in this presentation. The presentation slides will also be available here. The hand up icon is for asking questions. Questions are asked using the questions and answer feature in Slido. The Slido window should already be open on your screen when you join the webinar. You can also open and close it by clicking this icon. Your questions will be answered in writing and posted anonymously. We will also be taking polls throughout this presentation. You can participate using the polls feature in the Slido window. Next, the circle with a question mark icon lets you report and get help with technical issues. The gear wheel icon lets you adjust the webinar settings. And finally, the icon with the arrows pointing outwards expands the webinar display on your screen. To return to the main webinar screen, simply click the icon again. Now let's get started. During this presentation, I will cover Canada's tax system, residency status for income tax purposes, the underground economy, benefits and credits you may be eligible for, including the Canada Child Benefits, the different ways to do your taxes, the digital services offered by the Canada Revenue Agency, and how to protect yourself from scams. Please note that for the rest of the presentation, I'll be calling the Canada Revenue Agency the CRA. Before we begin, let's do a quick poll using Slido on your screen. Have you filed a tax return in Canada before? A, yes. B, no. C, unsure. Thank you for your responses. It's always nice to see where we are all starting from. Let's start with why we pay taxes and how the tax money that is collected gets spent. Taxes are mandatory payments made to a government. This means that it is not a choice or an obligation. Many public services, programs, and benefits are made possible through taxes. The government collects taxes to pay for things such as airports, education, emergency services, healthcare, libraries, roads, and social programs. The taxes we pay in Canada also help put money into the pockets of students, families, newcomers, seniors, and people with disabilities. This money is distributed through benefits and credits payments. It also funds social programs such as income support and old age security to help members of our community. Taxes can be municipal, provincial, territorial, or federal. Today, we'll be focusing on federal income tax. Canada's tax system is based on a self-assessment principle. This means that every taxpayer is responsible for completing their own tax return. If you're a taxpayer, you are responsible for submitting your tax return by the deadline, generally April 30 every year, giving accurate and complete information to CRA to process your tax return, reporting your income from all sources, paying your balance owing if you have one, and notifying the CRA of any changes to your personal information as soon as possible, such as your address or marital status. It's important to note that your immigration status and your yearly tax return help the CRA determine your eligibility for benefit and credit payments, as well as the amount you receive. Some examples of benefits and credits are the Canada Child Benefit and Goods and Services Harmonized Sales Tax, or GST/HST credits. I'll go over the different benefits and credits in detail shortly. As a newcomer to Canada, you're probably wondering whether you need to complete a tax return. Generally, you must complete a tax return if you have to pay tax for the year, or the CRA sent you a request asking you to do your taxes. There are benefits to doing your taxes. You should do your taxes every year if you want to receive a tax refund that you're entitled to, or want to begin or continue to receive benefits and credits that you may be eligible for, such as the Canada Child Benefit. Remember, the deadline to do and pay your taxes is generally April 30 every year. The key to receiving your benefits and credits, which are calculated based on your income, is doing your taxes on time. We know it can be a bit scary for some, but it's so important. Remember to do your taxes even if you didn't earn any income in the year. Throughout today's webinar, we will be displaying web addresses on the screen. We invite you to take note of them and visit the web addresses to learn more about each of the topics we will cover today. For example, information that may be of interest to you is available at canada.ca/new-to-Canada. Keep in mind that your residency status for tax purposes determines your income tax return filing requirements in Canada. You don't have to do a tax return during the year you became a resident of Canada. However, you will have to do your taxes for the year you became a resident by April 30 of the next year. first tax return will report the income you received from the date you became a resident of Canada until December 31st of the same year. For example, if you became a resident in February 2023, you won't have to do taxes in 2023, but you will have to file taxes in 2024 by the deadline of April 30. These taxes will be for the period you were a resident in 2023. So from February to December 31st. For more information on whether you need to file a tax return or not, visit the web address on your screen. You become a resident of Canada for income tax purposes when you have significant residential ties in Canada. And usually you create these ties on the date you arrive. Residential ties may include a home in Canada, for example, if you own or rent a home in Canada for personal use, a spouse or common law partner or dependent who moved to Canada to live with you, personal property such as a car or furniture, or social ties to Canada, such as memberships to recreational or religious organizations. Other residential ties that may be relevant to determine your residency status include, but are not limited to, a Canadian driver's license, Canadian bank accounts or credit cards, and health insurance with a Canadian province or territory. For income tax purposes, you're only considered a newcomer for the first tax year in Canada. Depending on your residential ties and the duration of your stay in Canada, you're considered to be one of the following types of residents for income tax purposes. A resident if you have significant residential ties with Canada, regardless of the number of days spent in Canada. A deemed resident if you do not have significant residential ties with Canada, but you stay in Canada for 183 days or more in a calendar year, and you are not considered a resident of your home country under the terms of a tax treaty between Canada and that country. A non-resident if you stay in Canada for less than 183 days during the year and you do not have significant residential ties with Canada. A deemed non-resident, meaning you have significant residential ties with Canada, but are considered a resident of another country with which Canada has a tax treaty. Please note that your residency status for income tax purposes is different from your immigration status. If you would like the CRA's opinion on your residency status, fill out and send Form NR74, Determination of Residency Status. The appropriate addresses are listed on the form. To work in Canada and receive benefits and services from the government, you will need a social insurance number, also called a SIN. A SIN is a 9-digit identification number that is unique to you. You are the only person who is supposed to use it, and you are responsible for keeping it safe. You will need to give your SIN to your employer when you start a job and to your bank when you open an account. You also need to provide your SIN to government agencies or departments to access a benefit or service, such as when filing your income tax and benefit return. SINs are issued by Service Canada. To find a Service Canada office near you, or for more information on applying for a SIN, go to the web addresses on your screen or call the toll-free numbers. If you or your spouse don't meet Service Canada's eligibility criteria for a SIN, you can still file an income tax and benefit return and apply for some benefits and credits with the CRA. To do so, send us your tax return and or benefit and credit application with a note explaining why you or your spouse cannot get a SIN. Along with the note, include a photocopy of any document that proves your or your spouse's or common law partner's identity. For example, this could be a passport, driver's license, or any document issued by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. The CRA will then give you a temporary tax number you can use on your application forms and on your income tax and benefit return until you get your SIN. To do your taxes in Canada, you will need to understand your total income. Your total income includes your income from all sources, both from inside and outside of Canada. You can receive many different types of income, including employment income. Employment income includes any income you receive from your job. Your total income also includes tips or gratuities you receive from your job and different types of scholarships or grants. In Canada, some sources of income are non-taxable and do not have to be reported on the income tax return. For example, this can include benefits and credit payments you may be eligible to receive from the government, like the GST, HST credits, and Canada Child Benefits, which we will cover in more detail shortly. It can also include any money or gifts received from parents or family members. To know what to report as income, go to the web addresses on your screen. Let's test your knowledge. Among the following sources of income, which should not be reported in your total income? A, employment income from outside of Canada. B, Canada Child Benefit. C, tips and gratuities. D, scholarships, fellowships, bursaries, study grants, and research grants. Thank you for your responses. The correct answer is B, Canada Child Benefits. Some sources of income, such as the Canada Child Benefits, are non-taxable and do not have to be reported on the income tax return. Throughout the presentation, I will go over some common questions we get. Question 1. I came to Canada in August 2022 and started working in February 2023. Do I need to do a tax return in 2023? The answer is yes. Even if you did not have any income in 2022, you should still file your taxes. Your tax return will cover the period you were in Canada in 2022. So August to December 2022 in this scenario. It will be used to calculate any benefits and credits you might be entitled to. As a newcomer to Canada, you may be able to get benefits and credit payments right away. I will go over the Canada Child Benefits, the Goods and Services Tax, Harmonized Sales Tax Credits, the Disability Tax Credits, and the Child Disability Benefits. I will also discuss the new Canada Dental Benefits, and one-time top-up to the Canada Housing Benefit. The provinces and territories also have several benefits and credits. Applying for the CRA's benefits is the first step to receiving this. Let's see how you can get these benefits and what you need to do to keep getting them. Let's begin with the Canada Child Benefit, or CCB for short. The Canada Child Benefit is a tax-free monthly payment made to eligible families to help with the cost of raising children under 18 years of age. Each year, it may provide up to $6,997 for each of your children under 6 years of age, and up to $5,903 for each child aged 6 to 17. You need to apply for all children in your household if you have not applied previously and nobody is receiving it for them. To be eligible for the CCB, you must meet all of the following conditions. You must live with the child, and the child must be under 18 years of age. You must be primarily responsible for the care and upbringing of the child. You must be a resident of Canada for tax purposes. You or your spouse or common law partner must also be one of the following: a Canadian citizen, a permanent resident, a protected person, a temporary resident who has lived in Canada for the previous 18 months, and who has a valid permit in the 19th month, or an individual who is registered or entitled to be registered under the Indian Act. A primary caregiver can be the child's parent, grandparent, or other family member. You should apply for the CCB as soon as possible after you move to Canada and meet the eligibility criteria. After your child is born, after a child starts to live with you, or as soon as you or your spouse or common law partner meet all of the eligibility conditions. You should apply even if you share custody of a child or a child is living with you for a determined temporary period of time. Newcomers to Canada can apply for the CCB by filling out 2 forms and mailing them to the CRA. You can easily find these forms at canada.ca. First form is the Canada Child Benefit Application, RC66. If your child wasn't born in Canada, you will have to send us proof of birth with your forms. This documentation should indicate the child's family name, given name, and date of birth. Acceptable documents include a photocopy of the child's birth certificate, passports, or any documents issued by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, such as the child's permanent residence card, confirmation of the child's permanent residency, or a temporary resident permit. You only have to apply once to get the CCB for a child. If you have another child in the future, you'll have to send another application for them. The second form is the status in Canada and income information for the Canada Child Benefit Application, Schedule RC66SCH. On the RC66SCH, you will have to include information about your and your spouse or common law partner's residency and citizenship and immigration statuses. You also need to provide your income from from all sources, including income not reported on a Canadian tax return, even if it's zero. You may have to include information for up to 2 years, depending on the date you became a resident of Canada. Before we move on, let's do a quick poll using Slido on your screen. Have you heard of the Goods and Services Harmonized Sales Tax Credits, also known as the GST HST credit? A, yes. B, no. C, unsure. Thank you for your responses. For those of you who haven't heard of the GST HST credit, let's take a look. The Goods and Services Tax, Harmonized Sales Tax Credit, more commonly known as the GST HST credit, is a quarterly tax-free payment for people with low and modest incomes. It helps offset the GST or HST they pay on goods and services. To get it, all you have to do is your taxes every year, even if you have no income to report. The CRA will confirm if you're eligible and how much you get when you do your taxes. As a newcomer to Canada, you may be eligible for the GST HST credit and the Climate Action Incentive payment as soon as you arrive in Canada. Like the GST HST credit, the Climate Action Incentive payment is tax-free. It is paid to help individuals and families offset the cost of federal pollution pricing. It is only available to residents of Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario. Starting in July 2023, residents of Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island will also start to receive this payment. If you don't have children, you can apply for the GST HST credit and Climate Action Incentive payments by completing Form RC-151. GST HST credit and Climate Action Incentive payment application for individuals who become residents of Canada. If you have children under 18 years of age, applying for the CCB will automatically determine your eligibility for these benefits. On these forms, you have to include your income outside Canada for the year you became a resident of Canada and from the year before or 2 years before, depending on the date you became a resident of Canada. It's important to report your income even if it was zero, because the CRA needs this information to calculate your payment. You only have to apply once in the year you became a resident of Canada. After that, the CRA will use the information from your tax returns when you do your taxes every year to calculate the amount you're entitled to. In Canada, we recognize that persons with disabilities face many barriers, including additional costs. The Disability Tax Credit, DTC for short, is a non-refundable tax credit. You can claim 15% of your non-refundable tax credits to reduce the income tax you may have to pay. The purpose of the DTC is to provide some relief for unavoidable additional costs that result from living with a disability. Being eligible for the DTC can also open the door to other federal, provincial, and territorial programs, such as the Registered Disability Savings Plan, the Canada Workers Benefits, and the Child Disability Benefits. To learn more about the DTC, visit the web address on your screen. The government has launched the new Interim Canada Dental Benefit. This benefit provides financial support for families who have an adjusted family net income of less than $90,000 and have out-of-pocket dental care expenses for their children under 12. If you're a parent or guardian of eligible children under 12 years old, you will have to attest that your child does not have access to private dental insurance and your child's dental costs are not fully covered by another dental program provided by any level of government. In order to apply, remember that you need to be receiving the Canada Child Benefit for your child and to have filled your 2021 tax return. Also remember that you must keep your receipts and records from your dental appointment for 6 years. If you have not done your taxes for 2021 and became a resident of Canada for tax purposes in 2021 or 2022, you will need to apply for the CCB and provide your personal information and world income. If you have a spouse or common law partner, you will also need to provide their information. If you already applied for the CCB and your 2021 world income is missing, you can call the Benefits Inquiries line at 1-800-387-1193 to provide that information. For the first benefit period, your child must be born on or after December 2, 2010. That is, under 12 years old as of December 1, 2022. Your child must receive dental care services in Canada between October 1, 2022 and June 30, 2023. Depending on your adjusted family net income, your non-taxable Canada dental benefit payment could be as high as $650 per child per year. You can apply for the Canada dental benefit through the CRA's online service, My Account, or by calling the number on your screen. My Account is the quickest, easiest, and most secure way to complete your application. If you apply online and are signed up for direct deposit, you could receive your payment within 5 business days. Please note that in order to use My Account, you must have filed your first tax return with the CRA. If you're unable to apply online or would prefer to call us, please call the dedicated number on your screen. For more information on the Canada Dental Benefits, visit the web address on your screen. One-time top-up to the Canada Housing Benefit is a one-time payment of $500 to assist low-income renters 15 years or older who are in the following situation. Their adjusted net income, including world income for 2021, is $35,000 or less for families, $20,000 or less for individuals. And the cost of their rent for their principal residence in Canada in 2022 is at least 30% of their 2021 adjusted family net income. As part of the eligibility criteria, you must have been a resident of Canada for income tax purposes in 2022. If you became a resident of Canada in 2021 or 2022 and have not yet submitted your world income, you must do so before applying for this benefit. As with the Canada Dental Benefit, you can apply for the one-time top-up to the Canada Housing Benefit either through My Account or by calling the dedicated number on your screen. The last date to apply is March 31, 2023. For more information on the one-time top-up to the Canada Housing Benefit, including the online application form, visit the web address on your screen. This web page also has a handy calculator to help you estimate your adjusted family net income and check if your income and rent amount would qualify for these benefits. Let's continue with the questions we often receive. Question 2. Why do I have to provide the income I earned outside Canada in past years on my application to get benefits payments? Will I be taxed on that income? The answer is no. You will not be taxed on the foreign income information you provide on your statement of income. The CRA asks for this information to calculate your benefits. The amount you're entitled to in terms of benefits is based on your income from the previous year. For instance, your income from 2022 will be used to calculate the benefits you receive from July 2023 to June 2024. Question 3. I am single and came to Canada in September 2022 as a temporary resident with my child. Am I eligible for the Canada Child Benefits? The answer is, as a temporary resident in Canada, you would be eligible for the Canada Child Benefits once you have lived in Canada for 18 months and continue to hold a valid temporary resident permit on the 19th month. To be eligible, your permit must not state does not confer status or does not confer temporary resident status. You may be entitled to the GST HST credit and climate action incentive payments as soon as you arrive in Canada. Question 4. I live in Canada with my child, but my spouse lives outside Canada. How do I apply for the CCB? The answer is, if your spouse or common law partner is not a resident of Canada, you will need to fill out Form CTB9, titled Income of Non-Resident Spouse or Common Law Partner for the Canada Child Benefits, and send it in to CRA for each year or part of a year that they are a non-resident of Canada. If your spouse moves to Canada, they must complete a tax return every year, even if they have no income to report. There are a few ways to do your taxes. You can do your taxes online. This is the fastest way. Certified software is available to make online filing easy, and some software products are even free. The tax software guides you and calculates everything for you. Volunteers may be able to help you do your taxes for free. There are free tax clinics hosted by community organizations across Canada for those with a modest income and simple tax situation. For more information, visit the web address on your screen. You can also get help from a family member, a friend, or a tax preparer. Or you can file on paper. To do this, download a tax package, fill out the paper forms, and mail them to the CRA. Filing a tax return by paper can take up to 10 to 12 weeks to process. To get a package, visit the web address on your screen or call the CRA at the number on your screen. As I mentioned, you may be eligible to have your taxes done by a volunteer at a free tax clinic if you have a modest income and a simple tax situation. The program is called the Community Volunteer Income Tax Program, or CVITP for short. In Quebec, it's known as the Income Tax Assistance Volunteer Program, or ITAVP for short. Generally, a modest income is less than $35,000 for a single person and less than $45,000 for a couple. Your tax situation is simple if, for example, you don't have a small business or income from a rental property. Tax clinics are held all year. However, most clinics are offered in March and April. To find a clinic near you, go to the web address on your screen. Along with doing your taxes every year, you must keep your personal information up to date to keep getting benefits and credits. This includes your address, your marital, residency, and citizenship status, the number of children in your care, and your direct deposit information. You can update this information using CRA's My Account, My Benefits CRA mobile application, by mail, or an agent can assist you by phone. The CRA will sometimes send you a questionnaire or letter if we need more information and to make sure you're getting the right benefits and credits. If you get one of these letters, don't ignore it. You need to respond as soon as possible and send any requested information to the CRA. Often, we will ask for documents to confirm that the CRA has the most up-to-date information for you, like your marital status, proof that you are the primary caregiver of a child, or your address. If you don't have the documents, need some extra time to gather them, or don't understand what we are asking, just let the CRA know by calling the number on the letter. The CRA needs this information to calculate your benefits and credits. If you don't respond, your benefits or credit payments will stop, and you may be asked to repay the payments you already received. I've mentioned my account a couple times already during today's presentation, and now I'll cover this valuable service in more detail. You will be able to access the service after you send your first tax return to the CRA and receive a notice of assessment. My account is a secure portal that lets you view your personal income tax and benefits information and manage your individual tax affairs online on your own. You can track your refund, view or change your return, check your benefits and credit payments and statements, manage direct deposit, change your personal information, view any uncashed checks, View your CRA mail online, such as your notice of assessment and more. To sign up, go to the web address on your screen. Depending on your situation, you may want another person to call the CRA on your behalf. This might be helpful if you find it hard to communicate in English or French, or for other reasons. Taxpayer information is confidential. The CRA needs your permission to deal with another person, such as a family member, friend, or an accountant, who may act as your representative for income tax and benefit matters. You can give permission to another person online in My Account or on paper by filling out Form AUT-01. Authorize a representative for offline access and sending it to the CRA. Make sure to choose someone you can trust. You don't need to authorize someone as a representative if that person is only doing your taxes. You should always be cautious if you receive communication that claims to be from the CRA. It is possible to receive a direct communication from the CRA. We may, for example, need to provide you information about your account or ask you to clarify something you've shared with us. We will not ask you for your bank account number, credit card number, or passport number, or use threats or intimidation tactics. Scammers often attempt to imitate the CRA to try to steal your personal information. They may target you by telephone, text, instant messaging, email, or mail. Here's how you can be scam smart. Never be afraid to question why the CRA needs your personal information. When in doubt, check My Account to see if you have mail or any amount owing. You can also call the CRA to check on communications. If still in doubt, delete, delete, delete. We also invite you to try out our new online interactive tool called Learn About Your Taxes. After listening to today's webinar, I encourage you to go to the web address on your screen to learn more about Canada's tax system. This online self-directed tool takes you through starting to work, preparing to do your taxes, introduction to completing a basic tax return, the purpose of taxes, and much more. Go to the web address on your screen to dive in and check it out. And that's all for me. This is the end of the webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope it was helpful. We greatly appreciate your feedback. Please click on the check mark at the top of your page and take a couple of minutes to fill out the evaluation form. As a reminder, the web addresses, telephone numbers, and presentation slides are available by clicking on the chain links icon. A fact sheet for newcomers to Canada is also available. You can also access the fact sheet and other products by visiting our outreach materials to print and share webpage. The web address is on your screen. Besides English and French, we have products available in Arabic, Punjabi, Simplified Chinese, Pashto, Dari, Spanish, Russian, and Ukrainian. There is also a short video on benefits and credits for newcomers to Canada in 13 languages. For more information on any related topics, start your search at canada.ca/taxes. We won't be accepting any further questions. If your question wasn't answered during the webinar, please check back. We'll be posting as many answers as possible over the next 24 hours. Thank you for listening and enjoy your day.